Today, I'm gonna be sharing with you some budget-friendly meal prep ideas that you can take along if you're going on vacation. Now, if you have a kitchen in the place that you're staying, these meals are gonna be perfect. They're gonna be ready to go. All you're gonna have to do is pop them in the oven or warm them up. First on the menu is some easy and delicious enchiladas. So you're gonna need some corn tortillas, cheese. I'm using some Mexican style cheese, and some Wolf brand chili. I am going to be making like 2 batches of these. So one is gonna be for our ski trip, and then I'm gonna put one away for later as well. That way I'm doing all this work, I might as well just double it up and then have a meal ready for next time. First thing that we need to do is go ahead, we're gonna open up all 3 of these chilies and we're gonna add them to a saucepan with a little bit of water. I'm gonna go ahead and add about 3/4 of a cup of warm water to this, maybe not quite that much. We're just gonna thin it out a little bit. And then we're gonna go ahead and heat all of this up. And you can always add more or less water depending on how thick you would like your chili. The corn tortillas will soak up a little bit of the moisture, so just keep that in mind. So we got that pretty much mixed in really well. We're gonna go ahead and keep this over the heat to get it warm. And while our chili is warming up, we're gonna go ahead and get all of our corn tortillas. Now we're not gonna be using all of these. We're gonna warm our corn tortillas out, because if we don't warm them up, they're gonna like crack. See how they're cracking? So if they're not warm, they're gonna end up cracking, and then you'll have not very nice looking enchiladas. And also by warming this up, it kind of removes some of the moisture in the corn tortillas. Therefore, when we add that chili, it's gonna soak that up and it's gonna have so much better flavor. I'm gonna spray my pan with just some olive oil. You could use any kind of oil you want, and then we're just gonna warm these up. And I also like to spray on top just a little bit. And you'll also start to see them steaming. And then just flip them over as they start to get warm. So you'll know that they're ready, so when you bend them, they're not gonna crack at all. So they're nice and pliable. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the rest of these tortillas, and I'll see you back here in a minute. All right, so I have my chili that I've moved over here to the island. I've got my cheese now ready to go, and then I have all of my soft corn tortillas. Look how delicious these look. They are so soft and pliable. Now, because we're gonna be doing one for now, and then I'm gonna do one and put in the freezer for later, I have 2 of these little foil things, whatever these things are called. So I have 2 of these, and then we're gonna line these up, and these will also freeze really well. All we're gonna do is, I'm just gonna go ahead and start assembling this together on this one plate, because hey, why not? Let's save some dishes. What you're gonna do is just take a pinch of your cheese right here, and then just lay a little bit across here, just like that, and then you're gonna roll it up. Okay, just like that, so simple. And see how nice that they're staying together? Now, before we add the enchiladas to our pan, I'm gonna line this pan up right here with some chili. This is just really gonna help prevent those enchiladas from sticking to the very bottom of the pan, and prevents it from burning the actual corn tortilla of your enchilada. I have my first one, and then you're just gonna go ahead and line it into your pan, just like this. Okay, and then we're gonna do that for the rest of them. So now we've got all of our corn tortillas filled with the cheese, and I've just laid them inside of each of the pan. Now we're gonna go ahead and cover it with the rest of our chili. What we really wanna be doing is covering as much as that enchilada as we can. All right, so we have all of our chili. Look how pretty that looks and yummy. Now all we are gonna do is go ahead and just sprinkle some of this cheddar cheese all over the enchiladas. These enchiladas are gonna be so good after a hard day's skiing. Now, what I'm gonna do is, they're gonna defrost on the way up there, and I will keep them in the refrigerator until it's time to cook them. I will put them in the oven at about 300 degrees. After about 25 to 35 minutes of cooking, I will remove the top and then go ahead and cook it for another 5 to 10 minutes so the top can kind of get a little crispy. You can also serve this with some ready-made rice and some chips and salsa, and it's gonna be delicious. And then what I have here is I put some saran wrap over the pan, and then I foil wrapped it as well, and then I will put the date on it, what it is, and how long to cook it for, and at what temperature. Next, we're gonna be making some French toast for the mornings, and I thought this would be super easy just to warm up in the mornings. And this chicken here is frozen. I was gonna cook these in the Instapot for our next 2 recipes, but my Instapot is not working. So we're gonna go ahead and do these in the crock pot tomorrow and continue with the meal prep for those next 2 recipes. But for today, we're gonna go ahead and get those French toast ready to go. So I have my eggs in here, and now I'm gonna add just about 2 tablespoons of sugar. You don't wanna add too much to your French toast because that'll end up making the French toast kind of burn, because sugar burns really easily. So just a little bit will be fine. I've got some sugar. I'm gonna add a little bit of milk, about half a cup of milk or so. Pure almond extract. This stuff smells so good. Oh my God. It's kind of like the cherry flavor. So I'm just gonna do a little bit of that, maybe like half a teaspoon. All right, and let's head over to the stove. And here is the French toast. I'll go ahead and probably put these into some plastic bags and then put some parchment paper in between these and then freeze them. The parchment paper will help them not stick together. So we'll heat these up. We can either toast them in a toaster or in the oven or in the microwave. And then I'll add powdered sugar with it as well. But I think some kids are already wanting to snack a couple. We'll see how many are left before we get there. All right, so next we're gonna make the next 2 casseroles. I call it chicken pizza because, you know, kids, anything with the word pizza in it, they're gonna eat it. And then chicken Alfredo lasagna. We're gonna get the chicken going today, and then I'll finish that up tomorrow, and I'll see you guys here tomorrow. The seasoning I put on it is this buttery poultry seasoning, and it is some of my favorite. It is the next day, and I went ahead and cooked up all of that chicken breast, and I'm gonna go ahead and get it shredded for our next 2 recipes. The first one we're gonna do is I call this like pizza chicken casserole without the pepperonis. It's really good, and your kids are going to love it.
The pizza chicken explained it. It's really good, and if you haven't tried it, you haven't really tried good food. It's different, it's unique, and it's got cream cheese in it. Cream cheese, chicken and cheese, perfection.
In this bowl, we're gonna add 2 cans of tomato sauce. Add 2 tablespoons of olive oil, 1 tablespoon of basil, Italian herb seasoning grinder. I got this at Sam's Club. It is so good on so many things. Cracked pepper, and give that a nice stir. You'll need 2 blocks of cream cheese, and then I'm gonna kind of cube these up a little bit, and then you can just set those to the side. Now grab your pans. I'm gonna be doubling this recipe because, again, I'm gonna take one with us on our trip, and then I'm gonna put one in the freezer for later. To your pan, go ahead and add your chicken. We're just gonna lightly line the bottom. Any kind of shredded chicken will work. If you've got canned chicken, this will work with that, or you could pick up a rotisserie from the store and shred that. Then take your sauce that you made, and we're gonna split this between both of these pans. Since I'm doubling this recipe, we're gonna need twice the amount of tomato sauce. So I'm gonna make another batch. Then we're gonna take a block of the cheese here, and we're just gonna drop it in. And then we're gonna take a couple of handfuls of mozzarella cheese and just add that on top. Probably 2 to 3 cups of cheese will do. And then we're gonna go ahead and add a little bit more of that Italian herb seasoning. This pizza chicken is served deliciously with like some pasta or some homemade bread. I am getting hungry, y'all. Okay, so next up on the menu is gonna be some chicken Alfredo lasagna. Oh, let's go. Now we're gonna make the Alfredo sauce. I'm gonna make a homemade Alfredo sauce, so I'm gonna show you how to do that. Now you definitely don't have to do this if you don't want to. You can always buy like the pre-made Alfredo sauce in the store. It'll work just as well. You'll probably need 2 cans of it if you're going that route. Okay, so in our saucepan, we are going to be adding about 2 tablespoons of butter. We're gonna start to let that melt. I moved the pan over, so I think that would be a little bit better angle. So I've got 2 tablespoons of butter in there, and then we're gonna be adding red pepper flakes. Now, depending on how spicy you want it, is how much you're gonna add. We like ours a little spicy. I added about half a teaspoon. And then you're gonna add about half a teaspoon of garlic. Now this is my little whisk. I don't want to be using a metal whisk in my new pan, so don't make fun of my baby whisk. I need to order a bigger whisk that is got that silicone on it. All right, so we're gonna let that melt in. So adding your garlic and your red pepper flakes while the butter melts really brings out the flavor in the garlic and the spice of that red pepper flake. So now that we are bubbling, we are gonna add about 2 tablespoons of flour. And we're gonna let that cook through. I'm gonna put this on a low heat. You wanna cook through this flour. We're gonna cook this for about 15 to 30 seconds, or cooking the flour taste out, if that makes any sense. That way your Alfredo sauce doesn't have a flour taste. So we're gonna cook out that flour. So once it kind of starts turning a little bit of a darker brown color, you know you're ready. And then to this, we're gonna be adding about 2 cups of milk. And I'm just gonna eyeball it, because that's what I do. You're gonna add it slowly. We're gonna mix it in so we don't have any chunks in your flour. Once you get it all mixed in, it's gonna thicken up, which is what we wanna see. We're gonna add more. And then go ahead and keep stirring and keep stirring. And slowly adding your milk in. You don't want to do this too fast, because then you'll get chunks of that flour. So once all your chunks are out, it's still going to be pretty thin. At this point, you can go ahead and add the rest of your milk, and then we'll just turn up the heat just a little bit. Now, if you are looking for a thicker, more creamier Alfredo, you can add whipping cream to this, or half and half. We like ours really thick, so I'm just gonna add a little bit of half and half to this. We'll bring this up to a slow simmer very, very gently. Don't put it on high, because it will burn your milk. And we'll continue stirring. While that's kind of coming up to a slow simmer, I've got some oven ready lasagna, and I'm gonna go ahead and just soak these in some water for a few minutes. That's just gonna kind of soften up the noodles. I know it says it's oven ready, but I find that it really absorbs a lot of the liquid in your lasagna. So I soak them just, 5 minutes before, not boiling them, just soaking them. So I can start to see it simmer here on the edges, and I can feel the roux starting to thicken up. If it starts boiling over, turn it off. You don't want it to get to that point. We are just cooking it through to get that thickened up. All right, so that's pretty good. I went ahead and turned it off just in time. Looks like do not spill over. Okay, at this point we are going to add Parmesan cheese. I added about almost a cup full of Parmesan cheese right at the end. And you're just gonna break up your pieces. You can use fresh Parmesan if you wanted to. This will also continue to thicken up as it cools. So what I wanna do now is I'm gonna go ahead and taste it to see if it needs any salt. And it's actually perfect. In my bowl here, I have about a little over a cup of cottage cheese, and we're gonna add an egg to this, 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese, some Italian herb seasoning, and some basil leaves. I'm gonna add probably just a half a teaspoon, and give that a good stir. So I have my shredded chicken here, I've got my Alfredo here, I've got my 2 empty pans, and then I have that cottage cheese mixture. And so now we're just gonna go ahead and start assembling everything together. Okay, so the first thing you wanna do is go ahead and ladle some of your sauce into your pan here. We're always gonna start with sauce, and we're always gonna end with the sauce. A little more. So here are the noodles right here. I had soaked them in some water. I'll let those soak for a few minutes. So, and then we'll take our soaked lasagna noodles. We're gonna lay that right on top. And then we will go ahead and do a layer of the chicken. And then we're gonna take some dollops of that cottage cheese. We're gonna put that on top of the chicken. And then I like to kind of just spread it around a little bit. We're just gonna kind of mix in that chicken and the cheese, the cottage cheese here. And then we'll go ahead and do a scoop of our Alfredo sauce right on top. Mixing it all in, making sure we cover all of those noodles, okay? And then we'll just do another layer. So add another layer of your noodles on top here. And if you have some extra noodles, you can always just squeeze those in here. I had 2 extras, so I'll just go ahead and layer this one a little bit more. And then we'll add our chicken on top here. Just kind of sprinkle it all in. It's okay to use your hands as long as they are clean. And then we're gonna go ahead and add the rest of our cottage cheese in little dollops. And then we'll finish it off with whatever sauce you have left. We're gonna spread that around. And last but not least, let's go ahead and add a little bit more of our Italian herb seasoning. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you try some of these recipes out and let me know down in the comments below which one you think your family would like the best. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share, and we'll see you guys on the next one.